A war breaks out thousands of miles away, in a place you may never visit and can barely find on a map. A few weeks later, your grocery bill is higher, and you have no idea the two are connected. Today, we trace exactly how a distant war reaches all the way into your wallet. Let's start with what's happening right now. In 2026, conflict in the Middle East nearly shut down something called the Strait of Hormuz. It is a narrow stretch of water most people have never heard of, but roughly a fifth of all the world's oil is shipped through it. When it seized up, the price of oil didn't just tick up. It surged around 65% in a matter of weeks, one of the fastest jumps on record. That is not just a story for the business news. It is the first domino in a chain that ends at your kitchen table. So let's follow that chain, link by link. Start with the first link, the choke point. The entire modern world runs on a handful of critical raw materials: oil, natural gas, wheat, fertilizer, and it moves them through a handful of narrow routes. The Strait of Hormuz for oil, the Red Sea and Suez Canal for shipping between Asia and Europe, the Black Sea for grain. These are the arteries of the global economy, and like arteries, if one gets blocked, the whole body feels it. When a war disrupts the supply of a key commodity or threatens one of these routes, the effect is simple but brutal. Suddenly, there is less of something that everyone needs, which brings us to the second link, price. This part is just supply and demand. When the supply of something drops but people still need the same amount, the price rises fast. And no commodity matters more than oil, because oil isn't just fuel for your car. It powers the trucks that carry your food, the ships that move your goods, the machines in every factory, and the tractors on every farm. Oil is the hidden ingredient in almost everything you buy. So when oil jumps 65%, the cost of making and moving nearly everything rises with it. Now the third link, and this is where it reaches you. Think about what happens after an oil price spike. Fuel is first. The price at the pump climbs within days, but it does not stop there. Consider your groceries. A farm runs on diesel. Its fertilizer is made largely from natural gas. The food is then hauled by truck and ship, all burning fuel, to reach your store. So even if not a single crop was destroyed by the war, the cost of growing and delivering your food goes up, and so does the price on the shelf. And if the conflict happens to hit a country that actually grows the world's food, it is even more direct. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, two of the planet's biggest exporters of wheat and cooking oil were suddenly cut off. Bread and cooking oil prices jumped around the world for people who had never given Ukraine a second thought. It is not just food. Anything that is shipped or manufactured, your clothes, your electronics, your furniture, costs more to produce and transport. And if a shipping route like the Red Sea becomes too dangerous, vessels are forced to detour thousands of extra miles around the tip of Africa, adding days and cost to every single container. That cost, too, ends up in the final price you pay. Then comes the fourth link, the one most people miss. When lots of prices rise at once, that has a name: inflation. And central banks fight inflation with one main tool: they raise interest rates. Higher rates mean your mortgage, your car loan, and your credit card all get more expensive. So a distant war can actually hit your wallet twice, once at the checkout counter and a second time at the bank. The conflict you barely noticed quietly makes both your groceries and your debt cost more. If this pattern feels familiar, it should, because history rhymes. In 1973, a war in the Middle East led Arab oil producers to cut off exports to the West. Oil prices roughly quadrupled almost overnight. The result was years of painful inflation and recession across the United States and Europe, all triggered by a decision made thousands of miles away. In 2022, Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent natural gas and wheat prices soaring. European energy bills exploded, and global food prices hit record highs. Same mechanism, different decade. And here is the deeper point. The world is more connected than it has ever been. A disruption in one place now ripples almost instantly to everywhere else. And as global politics fractures, with the trade wars and sanctions we've covered before, these kinds of shocks may come more often, not less. You cannot control where the next conflict breaks out. But once you understand the chain, the next price spike won't feel random. you'll see it coming. So what does this mean for you, practically? When you see conflict flare up near a major oil rig or in a country that feeds the world, you can expect it to show up in fuel and food prices within weeks. It helps explain your bills, and it reveals something important. The inflation you feel isn't always your own government's doing. Sometimes it is the echo of a war you only half remember hearing about. So the next time the news shows fighting in some faraway strait or border region, don't just scroll past. Watch the price of oil, because that single number is the thread that runs all the way from a war you will never see to the receipt sitting in your hand. If this helped the headlines make more sense, that is exactly what this channel is for. The money story behind the headlines. Subscribe and we'll break down the next one together.